بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. My dear brothers and sisters, the modern Muslim woman, does she want marriage? Does she want a husband? Does she want a father? Does she want an imam or a leader? Or does she want a 50-50 partner? Or does she want only a wedding? These are the questions we're going to tackle today. Does the modern woman, with the help of some of these simpi da'is and imams, does she actually want to be in a nikah, in an aqd, based on the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or some sort of mumbo jumbo mix that she can call Islam with the help and support of, sadly, some of the weak men that exist today and who speak in the name of Islam? This is what we are going to explore today. Before we move on with that, I would like you to check out the links in the description. And if you like our videos, what we do here, make sure you support it. Click on those links, support our projects. And we're going to continue to keep doing this with your help, of course, after the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, what do women want from wedding, marriage? What is it? I would argue that most women today, they will say that they want a partnership. Now, what is this partnership? It might come and they'll say, well, an aqd and it's a terms and conditions, and I have some rights, but I also have some responsibilities. So they come under that from an Islamic perspective, and they always try to do that. They're not going to be straight up, even though some women are now straight up denying some of the Sharia aspects. Most of them will say, no, no, but you see, they'll Islamicize the Western, the non-Muslim paradigm. To say, well, we want a partnership because in Islam, the nikah is a contract, and a contract has two partners, and both have terms and conditions and rights and responsibilities. So far, it sounds good, and it is correct in a sense. But you see, behind this facade hides that they actually want a partnership that is based on I can do what I want, I can do what I feel, I can make my own decisions, and you can't really tell me what to do. In the model of partnership that they look at, they don't respect a leadership and an authority. And that's what you find with women saying stuff like, you're not my father, you can't tell me what to do, or even worse, calling it coercive behavior, controlling, narcissist, and then even calling the police. And of course, the US has done amazing to actually build policies and laws around this to make sure that women have the authority, almost unilateral power, to decide what the relationship really looks like. While Islam obviously gives the authority and accountability and responsibility to the man. While yes, we are in a partnership in the terms and conditions, if you were to parallel it to something in today's world, it will be like a job. Right? You have a CEO of the company you're working for, sisters, don't you? And you respect that authority. But you find it very hard to respect the authority that Allah has given to your husband. You respect the authority that the government has given to that person, part of the contractual, economics. You find that each company has a CEO. That's the structure that's been built by law. And you will respect that CEO or even just your line manager because that's the person that kind of signs your paycheck. But you see, it's such a complicated issue because in a lot of these kind of new marriages with sisters and brothers today, the brothers also have a huge fault because they're not a CEO. They don't behave like that. They do behave like a partner. They themselves simply want to go for a 50-50 thing by telling the woman that she needs to work and she needs to do this and she needs to do that as part of his vetting. So then, brother, you shoot yourself in the foot. You can't claim um, leadership and hierarchy. And you cannot claim all those when you have claimed your wife to be your equal partner and have pushed her to work and to do all these manly things. Now you got what you've asked for. Don't come and complain, oh, my wife doesn't obey me. I tell her to this in a 50-50 partnership. And usually when we look at 50-50 is, well, rights and responsibilities, some sort of currency, be it paying bills, be it time, be it rent, whatever it is, it's 50-50. So now subconsciously in that type of partnership, in a 50-50 partnership, you basically now have also 50-50 liability, but also 50-50 benefits and authority. So the brothers shoot themselves in the foot themselves by claiming, because they want to have the cake and eat at the same time. Yeah, I'll be the man and I'll be the leader and I'll be the imam. And Islam says this and this and this. But yeah, by the way, you gotta go a 9 to 5, sister, and you gotta pay 50% of the bills and help with this and help with that and blah blah blah. Now, why it is very difficult to live in a time today where indeed bills are expensive, everything's expensive, and men do struggle. But I would take that as an opportunity for men to look for just outside of the box, to do more, to push them, because men have that ability to push themselves, to be stronger, to work harder, to do more for their families, to earn that respect and to earn that authority, right? But for them, because they're lazy and they're no good, sadly, sometimes, and little boys, they say, oh man, I want a girl who's educated. I want a girl who's gonna bring well, even more money than me. Who cares? And we want 2 cars and this holidays and alhamdulillah, whatever, we're good. But then you cannot claim to be her leader. You will only be a partner. You cannot claim and then you come to the imams and to the brothers to complain that your wife's not obedient and that Islam says that women should submit to men and make sujood to them if anyone would have ordered to be made sujood to. They quote the hadith and so on, but you're sorry, very idiotic in believing that that's going to happen. Everything has a cost, my brothers and sisters. You have to understand how things should be and how things are very, very different. Everything has a cost. And in today's world, the cost is that women don't want to obey men when they've gone through education. They've been pushed, sadly, starting with their families first and foremost, and then also with these weak men who claim that they want 50%, that they're not going to marry a woman unless she's super educated and she's going to contribute. Women are very, very excited participants at the beginning anyway, because for them, this means like, wow, I'll get my freedom, I can have my own money, I can do this, and I can make decisions as well. And then they start tasting that 50% of authority, and it tastes good. Hey, I'm not under my father's jurisdiction anymore. I can do whatever it is. And by the way, there's so many waste fathers as well who take money from their daughters, who ask them to pay bills, who ask them to contribute to the household, sadly. So that those are the ones who are to be blamed first because they're the ones who start this process. But then here comes little man who has the same mindset, but then he wants to be the man and the leader. And the woman says, no, I like authority now, she says. I like to dictate when I come home. And the man says, no, but Islamically and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm the one who decides. And the woman says, what do you mean? I paid the mortgage too. I paid the bills too. I bought groceries too. I did this and this and this. Who are you to tell me who when to come home and who to befriend and what to do? Right? It doesn't work. Everything comes at a cost. And the cost for this that it breaks that gender role, that specification that has basically been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where men do the work and pay the bills and are the qawwams, and women are the nurturers and supporters and the ones who take care of the home. This is not some red pill garbage that Gabriel Romaani comes up with. This is the Islamic hierarchy that's been created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, and he is أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ لَطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. He knows who has created. He is the one who's knowledgeable and knows everything. So people destroy themselves by destroying this system and this hierarchy. And sadly, a lot of people don't want to acknowledge it because of their kibr and arrogance. But what happens is, you know, when you don't respect this chain of command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that it's going to destroy everything. I used to work as the general director and school principal in some very high-end schools in a Muslim country. And at one point, we had 4 schools, 2 boys and 2 girls. Built a school there, 2 schools actually. Um, And then we expanded it to a group of schools later with 9 schools at some point. And I was basically kind of like the general director over a lot of these operations. Big, big operation. What happened though, in the end, with the schools that was directly under me over everything, was that because people were not respecting the chain of command, it ended up destroying the schools. I was doing my part as the leader. Above me was only the owner of the schools. And what happened is because the system was broken, and sadly, it was the owner of the school who made the mistake of allowing people to skip the chain of command. What happened is that these people from the bottom of the hierarchy would go and just skip the chain of command. And that destroyed everything. In the end, we had to sell the schools and the whole project, which was a good Islamic project, protect the kids. This school project was destroyed, sadly. Okay. This story is to understand that if you don't respect the system, hierarchy is universal, whether it's in a company, it is in an Islamic project, and in a marriage. This is a system, a sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, with the 50-50 thing, though, what you get now, and not respect the hierarchy, see, because we want to make men and women equal today in society, funny thing is that society has, well, they've detached gender from role with women actually only. They've been basically given this freedom. They've been cut away from their roles. Not men though. See, if society would have been so-called equal, as they say, they would have had men being dissociated from their roles too. But while society cut gender from role only for women, men are always going to be still accountable and responsible, while women kind of get to play this double role. They can have fun for a little bit and play with authority and whatnot, but at the same time, they can always claim, oh, we're women. Like, what do you expect? So the hierarchy is not being respected. That has a cost. This whole 50-50, but only men are accountable, has a cost. And the mistake of the men in supporting this has a cost. Now, what is the cost? See, women still want to, in a sense, get married, just not so much anymore. Most likely just not to you, right? Because you're not really worth it for them. They've experienced already everything. They have everything they want to. Now they want someone really, really high. High expectations, high expectations, which you can see in the delay of marriage and the reasons for delay. I want this and this and this, and I want the right man to be, and if it's not, then well, whatever, wait till the stars align or some crazy shitky stuff like that. All right. I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than to, and yes, some women simply would rather be alone for the rest of their lives than to be with a very weak man. But at the same time, they want to claim strength on their side as well. So what do women want? What women want is 50-50 partnership. Well, that would mean that 50% of the time, the man does have a big say in the decision-making process of the family. What we find, though, is that that doesn't happen. Actually, women want full authority. They want to lead. They come with this 50-50 thing because it sounds good. And to a lot of men, it's like, oh man, that means I can get more time off. I don't need to work so hard. She's gonna pay some of the stuff. Sounds good. But then I can claim and quote the Hadith and the Quran, and I can say that I am the man and I deserve respect and authority. You're wrong, my brother. See, women don't want the 50-50 thing. The 50 thing is just a Trojan horse to get in and to bypass security. Once they're in and you've bought that, now what happens is they actually claim leadership. Because you won't be allowed. She won't just be like giving you 50% of the time to make decision. There won't be this perfect way of like, yeah, let's discuss everything. She will claim authority. She will use this. I'm a woman and I can do what I want now. And I'm also doing this and this. And you'll find yourself lower and lower in the chain of hierarchy. Your children will respect you anymore. She'll speak over you. She'll disrespect you in front of people and then gaslight you and make you like you're too controlling or too strict, and that you're using Islam against, that you're a narcissist, she will basically ruin you because you allowed her to, because women cannot handle power. And that is why. What's the reason? What's the evidence? They've never been given prophethood. They've never been given leadership as an imam or as the khalifa. Never, never, ever, ever in Islam. And that is one of the reasons they can't handle it for many, many, many consequences and many biological, spiritual, and practical reasons, such as that they go on their periods, such as their emotional volatility that they always quote when it suits them to get them out of problems. But when it comes to claiming authority, like, no, we're not like that. But when it comes to them being accountable, well, I was in my period and you don't understand hormones, postpartum, all these things. Okay, we agree that those are difficult things, but then don't use this double standard whenever it suits you. Do you understand? So women don't want partnership. They want full authority. Full authority doesn't go well with women. So now what do? We're shooting ourselves in the foot. See, as the CEO example, funny enough, even though they want to claim full authority in the marriage or in the world, it doesn't work. And they know that because it doesn't work in the companies that they so desperately wanted to work for. Will this work with a CEO? Can she go and say, well, I'm also on, we're in a partnership. We want to be 50-50. I'm going to make a decision. No. Most of the time, your decision doesn't really matter too much to that CEO and that company. It just doesn't. You have to understand. And you accept that. You respect that authority when your CEO tells you certain things. Yes, you are in a partnership, but you see, you don't apply the same standards to a partnership with your husband. You don't respect his authority for many, many reasons, even though you respect it in the workplace where he pays you and you offer work. You also bring things to the table and he pays you, but you respect his authority because in the end of the day, he is the one who pays you. You put in the work, right? Subconsciously, you know that he is the one who signs your check. So two things, right? One, the man failed in the marriage because they expect that 50-50. No, you need to be the CEO who pays her, who takes care of her. Then maybe subconsciously she'll have that. She'll respect that. Even though sometimes they don't respect that. Why? Because while they respect the CEO, they don't respect the man. Why? Because feminism has indoctrinated them to believe that even when a man takes care of everything, you still have the right to rebel and do whatever and not listen and so on. That is because they reject the hierarchy system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has offered. I want to close with this hadith, this beautiful, beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he basically said the following. He said, Abdullah ibn Umar reported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every one of you is a shepherd. كلكم راعي. And everyone is responsible for his flock. وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. The leader is of people, is a guardian, and is responsible for his subjects. So here we go. We got the hierarchy. So the imam, the leader, the wali al-amr, the khalifa is responsible. A man, okay, and if you are somehow in doubt, okay, وَالرَّجُلُ رَعِي على أهل بيته. Okay, right here. So the word is used here, rajul, the man, not the woman. Okay, it is the man. Okay, and here it is فالإمام الذي على الناس راعي. Okay, the imam is responsible. And here's the man is responsible. Okay, so the man is responsible for his son. So the man is guardian of his family, is responsible for them. So there's the second hierarchy. And above the man, obviously, the regular man is the imam, 100%. We know that. A woman, look at that. وَالْمَرْأَةُ. She is now a guardian of her husband's home and children, and she is responsible for them. And then the servant of a man is a guardian of his property and this and this. So now there's even a hierarchy, even there, right? So do you see what? Yeah, subhanAllah, the hierarchy is beautiful. The position, the gender, The position even is clearly described. Everyone, the woman is responsible for what? For the household, the children, the property of the man. The man is responsible for those below him, his children, his wife, and so on. The imam is responsible for everyone. You understand? For men and women. So this is the hierarchy that's given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the hierarchy that they don't respect. They want to be the boss. They want to be, and sadly, so many people teach them that it's okay. You are a boss, babe. They try to claim that Khadija did this and the Prophet ﷺ said that. They claim all kinds of bad, misquoted, out of position hadith and stories, and basically they end up themselves in a problem. Now remember, everything has a cost, my brothers and sisters. Everything has a cost. And the cost of women trying to gain leadership and trying to disrespect the rulings and the chain of command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that basically they're gonna actually not be happy. While they claim some leadership and they have and they taste some authority for some time by working and being out and marrying some weak man who's gonna accept 50-50 and even gonna like it, in the end of the day, these women are not gonna be happy because in the back of their mind, in their subconscious, their fitra is screaming that they would want a leader who's above them, who can protect them and be responsible for them. But you see, this is the contradiction and the contraction that these women are stuck in. Society is convincing them by fear of missing out that they have to be leaders. And it affects everyone, from young girls to older women. Everyone. It's such a strong conspiracy that's been put forward that it's so rational as well. It makes so much sense to these women that it is almost impossible. I'm not saying fully impossible, but very difficult to convince them otherwise and to return back to what this hadith says and to respect the chain of authority. And here they get exposed in their double standard by the fact that they do respect the chain of authority at work. But then again, that CEO pays her check, while this simpy weak husband is expecting her to do 50-50. But then again, even when a man does pay everything, and he is the right man, sadly, sometimes you find that these women still, due to the condition of society and how many years of conditioning, movies like Barbie and social media and all that, they still do not want to submit to the man, even though there are numerous hadiths of a woman and the obligation of a woman to basically listen and to fulfill the duty and obey her husband, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, as you can see in this beautiful article here by Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan, who described the importance of a woman by the one in whose hand is my soul. The Prophet said, there is no man that calls his wife to bed, but she refuses and accepts that the one who is above the heavens is displeased with her. How many hadith, if a woman prays her five prayers, keeps her private parts chaste, and obeys her husband, she'll enter paradise from any door. And how many clear hadith about obedience, or ayah from Surah Nisa, for example, the righteous women, Salihatul Qanitat, were devoutly obedient and guard their husbands in their husband's absence, what Allah has told them to guard. Over and over again, so many evidence. But sadly, they do not want to listen. Summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarjaun, deaf, dumb, and blind. They will not return. It is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to check the description and the links and support our dawah. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.